Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Welcome to The Winning Leap. I'm Devina Lasson, and over the next 6 weeks, we're going to explore some of the core issues plaguing effective development in India and give you, the viewers, a comprehensive look at the challenges faced in certain sectors and winning leap solutions to overcome these hurdles. The world's largest democracy is certainly something to be proud of, but it doesn't come without its own set of unique challenges. Each challenge, though daunting, can prove to be an opportunity for a winning leap solution. This week on The Winning Leap, we take a look at workplaces of the future and try to find a balance between motivation and economics in organization design and talent management in the workplace. Managing talent effectively and developing leaders at all levels is a key strategic priority for every CEO in India. Unlike other Asian economies, India grew on the back of a strong services sector, and these sectors, being people-intensive, require talent as a critical driver for business growth.
I think that it's extremely important that our people are industry ready so that competencies in industry increase. We live in an extremely competitive world where India needs to better itself in terms of costs, in terms of opportunities for its people, and in an international market such possibilities can only arise if we have a very skilled manpower.
The millennial factor in the workforce has further brought in the need for new approaches to talent management. There are critical roles and set skills that require differentiated approaches as they are key to driving company growth and value creation. For Indian organizations to mold their workplaces to be future-ready, there are a plethora of challenges and imperatives to overcome. Here to discuss the situation as it stands today is Padmaja Alangnandan, Leader, People and Change, PwC India. Padmaja, welcome to the show. So let's start with the basics. Now, for Indian organizations to really take the workplace to the next level, what needs to be done in terms of organization design?
It's a very interesting point that you've raised, Veena. So I think the first principle of organization design is, what is it the business wants to achieve? Is it about growth? Is it innovation? Is it about operational efficiency? And look at the right design. That's the first point. I think the second aspect really which comes to my mind is it has to also meet the workforce needs. Today in India we have so much diversity. We have the millennial generation coming in, so you have generational diversity, you have locational diversity, and the different needs that everyone has. And design needs to allow for all of this. And the interesting thing is, it also helps with economics. It helps to manage the costs of doing business.
Speaking about the Indian workforce, we've seen a double-digit increase in the amount put into people resources, but unfortunately the productivity levels haven't really compared to this increase. Can you tell us why is this so?
I think one aspect that comes to my mind is, in India, the expectation that we all have that irrespective of what I do, over the years, I expect that I would move up the organization hierarchy. I would get a promotion, a new title. I think the second is just structural inefficiencies in terms of duplication. You have two roles doing similar work, two different functions. Right. Within a function, you have overlaps, right? And all that comes in the way of efficiencies. So I think now there has been a lot of focus on the aspect of productivity, and I'd say even something like white-collar productivity. I see it right up there on CEO agenda.
That's great. Okay, let's talk a little bit about leadership in that case. I think for any organization, having a strong leadership pipeline is really key, and it's something that organizations need to focus on. But what are some of the challenges faced when setting up an effective leadership pipeline?
Devina, this is the one that's up there, number one on our CEO agenda. We do the CEO survey, and we find that this is one issue which all CEOs are concerned about. In today's environment of VUCA, which is the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, the whole question of what do I build a leader for? What do I enable my leader to handle, right? It's difficult to say 3 to 5 years from now, what are the challenges my leader is going to encounter? Because We're seeing complete change in regulatory, technology environment, right? We're seeing so much of changing business models. So my leader needs to be prepared to handle a very, very different scenario than what I'm equipping him or her for. That's actually a very big challenge while developing leaders.
Can you shed some light on why is it that we're not really innovating when it comes to talent management and not doing this as aggressively as other economies, keeping the differentiation in mind?
Maybe there hasn't been enough focus or appreciation of economics and business model among the HR fraternity, right? I see a huge increase in that. And a lot of differentiation, innovative models really come from understanding what is the cost structure, what's the business imperative, and therefore looking at how we need to have some of this differentiation. So I see more of that happening. I think we'll have a lot more fall in place.
Okay. Speaking about the millennials, so this generation is definitely much more tech savvy and very comfortable with technology. Does this make a difference in the workforce?
The fact that millennials are comfortable with technology means collaboration. They're used to, video conferencing, group texting, right? So it makes collaboration in the workplace a lot easier. But it's also putting pressure on companies that have very rigid policies on technology, saying we allow this, we don't, because millennials want a lot more freedom. They don't appreciate those kinds of, rigid rules around what technology is allowed in the workplace. So it's definitely changing social dynamics. In many ways, it's enabling distributed workforces and bringing a lot of power to the workplace.
Thank you, Padmaja, for being on the show. You've given us great insight on the challenges and imperatives faced by workplaces when becoming future ready.
My pleasure.
Thank you. It's time for a short break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, there's much more on The Winning Leap. Stay tuned. Welcome back to The Winning Leap. Before the break, we gave you a comprehensive view on the challenges faced by Indian organizations when making their workplace ready for the future. It's now time to focus on the solutions. So let's see how organizations can maximize their resources and move towards a structure that is both cost-effective and efficient. Moving towards a workplace of the future is no easy task. It involves an entire rehaul of the existing company structure as well as huge costs. However, companies can begin to grow towards being future-ready by adopting new workplace structures, meaningful reward structures, and the dismantlement of traditional approaches to performance management.
In the month of November 2014, we ensured that people who left their education after the 8th standard can get back into the system and from 9th standard onwards can go up to post-graduation if they so desire. So opening up these possibilities and ensuring lateral and horizontal mobility across all seamless activities vis-a-vis education, I think, is a great impetus that the skill-based industry needed.
Fresh and constructive approaches need to be adopted by Indian organizations to effect positive change in the workplace. It is clear that the need of the hour is to really make way for newer and more modern approaches when it comes to building workplaces of the future. And I'm here today with Sandhya Vasudevan from Deutsche Bank, who's going to talk to us about how organizations can begin to make this change. Welcome to the show, Sandhya.
Thank you.
So let's start with a basic need of the hour question, really. It seems like a great and really almost insurmountable challenge for some Indian organizations to make their workplace future ready. What are really some of the key points needed when looking at new workplace structures?
Any company looking at the future of workplace needs to start with where is the business going? So therefore, what are the macroeconomic, social trends? That's vital. The second piece is how is technology impacting them? What is the kind of business they are in, and what are the new technologies that will change the way they work? So once you have that understanding, you start looking at how does the business work and what are the kinds of structures that you need to put in place. Therefore, any new business or any existing business which is scaling up will have to start with that as the primary. Once they have that, then they can kind of figure out how they want to take it forward.
Okay, and let's look at it also from the employee point of view. How do you at Deutsche Bank really keep productivity high? And let's talk about it in terms of maybe incentives or any reward structures you have in place.
How do you motivate individuals? It's not about a job, it's about a career. So therefore, as a company, you start looking at, are you providing them with a workplace which is meaningful, sensible? Is it safe? Does it give them enough flexibility? That's one kind of element. The non-financial aspect which is absolutely vital for a success of an organization is, do you like your boss? Do you like your colleagues? Do you want to work in that place? If that is not there, nothing else will matter in terms of driving productivity. My personal view is the future of the workplace is going to be driven by the need of the organization in the stage of evolution that it is, and what's the effort it is going to put to keep people there so that the best in them comes out.
Okay, great. And now let's also talk about the role of technology. How important will technology be in really building workplaces of the future? And again, at Deutsche Bank, what role does technology play in Deutsche Bank's development?
Even before you join the organization, there are pockets of our organization where digital apps are used to engage with the new employee. There are places where technology is being used to drive learning and development. I don't think we've actually tapped what's possible in the future. If I just take the example of the transport industry, those of us who've been part of the offshore world, we have daily pickups and drops. And in the last 20 years, we've been using transport very effectively. With the coming of Uber and Ola and all the radio cabs, each of those drivers, they come from backgrounds who are not necessarily technology savvy, but every one of them now uses GPS to navigate. So if you look at the transformational potential of technology, I don't think we've even touched the tip of what's possible. So I think it's an exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. On that promising note, let's also now look at the factor of how basically India is nothing if not traditional. And it does seem like a great challenge to get traditional Indian organizations to really change their style of talent management or people management. So what will it really take in India to kind of break down this traditional style of talent management and again get ready for a future?
In the new world, things are changing very rapidly. Growth will come to those who are willing to take a risk, and it is quite disruptive. So if I need somebody who's a rocket scientist for today, because I'm building a product that requires rocket scientists, can I go and get that? And if so, where? So I think there'll be new models which are coming through, and traditional businesses, I think, are smart enough to leverage that.
Okay. Let's take a look at the cost factor. Is this high cost of change a deterrent really for organizations to move to the future? And if so, what can be done about that?
I'm not sure the cost of change is that high. I think it becomes extremely high if you try to do it by yourself. You can leverage industry forums like CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM, lots of good work there. Partner with academics. Result, more jobs created. So I think the cost of change is not as high as we think because the pie is very large.
Well, thank you so much, Sandhya. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
My pleasure. It's been fantastic.
Well, on that note, it's time for a short break, but don't go anywhere because when we return, we take a look at modern Indian workplaces that embody what we've discussed today. Stay tuned. Welcome back to The Winning Leap. Today we're talking about workplaces of the future, and while it may seem that Indian organizations have their work cut out for them, there are those that are leading the change. Let's take a look. When imagining workplaces of the future, there are Indian companies who are embracing the change and galloping ahead, both in terms of human resources and unimpeachable leadership.
Having a very strong leadership pipeline is central to success. Not for any other reason, I think, but for the simple reason that the cost of failure arising out of not having the right people at the right place can be extremely devastating. And when we say leadership pipeline, it's not just do I have the right people at the top. It's almost like having an entire pipeline which can continue and maintain the momentum of growth that is required.
Strong leadership has always been the key to motivate productivity in a workplace structure, and the dismantlement of traditional approaches in favor of modern organization demands future-ready leadership.
It's not about breaking the existing models or dismantling it. I think if it's working well, please carry on with it. What has to be seen is it relevant to my journey? If I'm looking at aggressive growth over a very short duration of time, I have to see whether the way I have been traditionally doing development, will that help me do that? If it's not, then you have to do something else. You may have to dismantle it.
We've spent enough time looking at strategies for workplaces of the future. It's now time to take you into a workplace of the future. I'm here at Narayana Health in Bangalore, which is one of India's largest and one of the world's most economical healthcare service providers. Let's take a look. Narayana Health was started in 2000 as a 225-bed cardiac hospital. Since then, the NH group of hospitals has grown into a healthcare conglomerate, servicing patients in all areas of medicine. A pioneer of the concept of telemedicine in India, today it has 150 connected telemedicine centers across the world. With its ability to leverage economies of scale and technology to deliver quality and affordability, Narayana Health is truly a workplace of the future. A success story in the booming healthcare sector. I'm here at Narayana Health with Group CEO Ashutosh Raghuvanshi, who's going to give us an insight into what it takes to structure an organization to such dizzying levels of success. Welcome to the show, Ashutosh.
Thank you.
So let's start with a basic question. Tell us in a nutshell what it is exactly that your company does.
I think our company does a simple thing, which is to relieve pain. We're into providing healthcare, and that is our basic job. The focus of our company is to provide high-level tertiary care to as many people as possible at a very economic level.
What is really your organizational structure here? And basically tell us, what is your recipe for success?
I think the reason why we have been so successful is that we engage with our patients a lot on various levels, how we train them, how we treat them. So that's the organizational structure which delivers it. And when you are working on a principle of providing high quality care at an economical price point, you need to have a very robust backbone which gives you information to make the right decisions. So IT systems become a very important part. Analytics becomes a very important part of our business. And those functions are supported by a corporate team which works centrally.
So let's talk a little bit about IT. I believe your institution is really renowned for your modern, the technology that you use. And this is what makes you stand out and perhaps makes your services more affordable as well. Talk to us a little bit about that.
We've been using a technology in critical care where our nurses have iPads. They are able to feed some of the observations of the patient they are attending to directly into the pad. Some of the information about the patient which is collected through the monitoring devices, etc., automatically gets populated onto these devices. Even if the nurse is less experienced, she can deliver the same level of care as a very experienced nurse would deliver. And there are so many other ways in which technology helps us. As you said, that how it helps us to reduce the cost of treatment. Now, what we have been able to do is our entire IT technology across the network is on a cloud environment. One of my hospitals, suppose, doesn't have a radiologist. Another radiologist from another one of my hospital can report. At night, I don't need to have 32 radiologists reporting if there is an emergency. One person can report. They can also report from home. So that improves their quality of life, that improves their satisfaction levels in working with our organization.
And tell us, in your opinion, how important is it to set up an efficient leadership pipeline?
What we have been doing for last about 7-8 years is that we have created our own pipeline of leadership. What we have done is we started hiring from business schools about 6 years back after we created a program. And in that program, we hire fresh pass-outs from business school. We hire people who have experience in other industries, not necessarily healthcare. Once they have gone through their about 1.5 years of orientation program, depending on their aptitude and skills, we put them in one function. But we are trying to grow them as future leaders. Some of them who joined us about 6 years back are managing few of our hospitals today.
How important is it really to go beyond the organizational boundaries and look at the needs of a very segmented workforce?
I think an industry such as healthcare, you have to look much beyond what happens within. This country has shortage of physicians, this country has shortage of nurses, and any other category of human resources you can talk about in healthcare. We run a scholarship program where we take children in 7th standard and we mentor them and encourage them to become doctors. And these children are essentially from rural or underprivileged backgrounds. Now, why we do this? Why we do this is very simple. The complex branches of medicine, say neurosurgery or heart, cardiac surgery, these are difficult branches. Children coming from privileged backgrounds, from urban areas, they don't want to go to those kind of professions. You need people who have fire in their belly, who want to really prove themselves. These are one of the things, one of the ways in which we are engaging with the community at large.
It's been a pleasure to get an insight into the inner workings of a hospital. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Well, that's all we have for you today, but do join us again next week as we explore more core issues that are plaguing the effective development and growth in modern India. Until then, from the entire team, many thanks for watching.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.